This is George Dionne of the Rock is George podcast, and this is a KNAC.com exclusive interview with up-and-coming modern rock artist Hannah Cutt. If I knew absolutely nothing about Hannah Cutt, how would you describe your music to me?
I would describe it as honest, raw, very dark, soulful, rock, has catchy choruses. I'm a huge fan of, for me, the chorus is the most important thing. Whenever I listen to a song, I pretty much just fast forward to the chorus to judge if I'm going to like it or not. So that's pretty much how I describe my music.
You have a new single out. It's called No Crown in This Dead Town. This is sort of your fight song, if you want to get into a little bit more about what the song is about.
I was just feeling really stuck in where I was in my life, looking like I don't have enough followers, I'm never going to get where I want to be, and kind of going well, what can I do? And I'm like, I don't know, I feel a little lazy. So it was just me and I just kind of started writing my thoughts, and I came up with No Crown in This Dead Town. But the dead town is a metaphor for my brain, not because I live in LA, so it's obviously not a very dead town.
That's for sure. The song, the track, was produced and co-written by Sean Hurwitz and Greg Cash. How did you end up hooking up with them?
So I actually met Sean around 7 years ago. I was doing we did an acoustic show at the Pig and Whistle, which I did all my acoustic songs back then. And then around, I think 3 years ago, I was singing in my bathroom for Instagram. My mom was like, okay, you need to stop singing in your fucking bathroom. You got to get out there and start performing. So I reached out to Sean, and we did some covers for Instagram, professional shot covers. And my first step was okay, I'm moving from the bathroom. I'm going to move to the stairs. And then from the stairs, I called up Sean, and I was like, why don't we do some covers for Instagram? And he got together a band. And then from there, I was like, why don't we perform my own music? So then I booked a show at the Viper Room, and I've kind of been performing ever since.
From what I understand, you got a music video on the way for this single. What is sort of the concept behind it?
Okay, I'm going to be completely honest. This one I did not have much ideas for. So my mom was like, oh, I have a great idea. I was like, perfect, because I got nothing. So I love the show Entourage. She knows I love the show Entourage. So the first scene is very similar to the intro to Entourage, where we're driving down a Cadillac on Sunset Boulevard. And I'm looking up at the billboards, and there's all the lights. So we did a scene there, and then we were supposed to shoot on this bridge, but then the lights went out on the bridge. So we ended up improvising and doing a scene of me just on the Cadillac, which was actually really cool. We did one take, and it was perfect. And then from there, we ended up doing the last shot, which was on the rooftop in downtown LA. And we had drones around us. It was pretty cool.
The prior single you released to this one was Dirty Enough for Hardcore. I watched the music video on this one. You're really kicking some ass in this one.
Yeah, that one I had a little bit more say in. That one I was like, I have an idea for a fight scene. I was like, some show's supposed to show I'm tough, because that's a little bit of what the song's about, where I beat up some dudes in it.
Because the dating pool is not so great these days. Is that sort of where the song goes lyrically?
Well, okay, my mom doesn't like when I say, okay, I love my mom's a little bit my manager. She doesn't like me to say this, but I'll just give a little bit of an edited version. So I overheard these two guys talking about their conquests, and I was just never in a million years would I hook up with any of those guys. So for me, I'm I wrote the song Dirty Enough for Hardcore after that.
Do you have a regular backing band that appears on these songs, or are you using studio musicians at this point?
No, I have my band. I have it's Joey Ariema, Matthew Dennis. Joey is the guitarist, Matthew Dennis is the bassist, Ronan Gordon's a drummer, and Lincoln Cleary is the keyboardist. And they perform all my shows with me, and we record all the music videos together.
These two singles in particular, No Crown in This Dead Town and Dirty Enough for Hardcore, have sort of a rock feel to it, kind of a hard rock meets rock and roll feel to it. But your previous material, specifically 2022's Stories of a King, had more of a soulful pop genre feel to it. Is this a shift in direction for you, or just something that you're like, I want to try out some rock stuff?
Yeah, I always saw the second album being I have all the albums I have I want to do completely planned out. So this album I always saw as being rock, but it just happened to be that I wanted to perform live. When we started performing the covers, we wanted to perform live, and they were a rock band. So we ended up transposing all my old songs to rock. for the show. And then from there, I was like, okay, I'm only going to write rock music from now on. But my next album, I have a bunch of pop songs that I recorded like years ago, and I fucking love it. My mom's like, it's too pop, it's too much. But I was like, but it's so good. But so I might have to maybe try to sell that music to someone else because it doesn't really go with quite my vibe. Or maybe I can just throw a curveball and be like, fuck it, I'm doing a pop album.
You release it under a ghost name or pseudonym or something.
Yeah.
So are you going to stick with just releasing singles over a period of time, or are you going to kind of tie this rock stuff into a full album at some point?
I'm gonna. So I have my EP that's gonna come out. It's gonna have three more singles on it, or I mean, three more songs on it. It's gonna be called EP. It's called Misery in Heaven, and then from there, I'm gonna release my album.
Do you have a timetable for the EP and then the album?
EP is probably because I'm gonna release the music video probably in the next like 2 weeks because it's been 3 weeks since we recorded the music video, and then we'll probably release the album like a month after that.
You mentioned that your mother is your manager. Was your mother in the music industry?
No, I mean, my mom's just very smart. She's just very on top of it. She's a dancer. So she picks out my outfits for my shows. I just really trust her opinion on stuff. Like the other day, we went to go do a single. We went to go do okay. I went at my show the other day. We went to tech rehearsal and I was singing "I Don't Want to Miss a Thing" by Aerosmith, and she was like, yeah, if you can't hit those notes, I wouldn't sing the song. So we ended up changing it out, which I felt like was a good recommendation because everyone knows that song and they know all the high notes that Steven Tyler, like literally everyone in the bar at Barney's Beanery, I go to Barney's Beanery for trivia every week, was singing the song and they hit those high notes in the falsetto. And I'm like, I can't hit that. So she's like, if you can't do it right, just don't sing it. So I feel like I just trust her opinion on a lot of stuff. I'm really lucky to have her.
I'm not sure that Steven Tyler can really hit those falsettos either.
He's pretty good. He has a very strong voice.
So I was reading that writing and performing music is part of your journey through sobriety. You've been sober for a little over 7 years now. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
I'll have 8 years July 4th. I gave up drinking because it was affecting my singing voice. Like for me, like I had a fun time drinking. Like I'll love drinking till like the rest of my life. Like it was so much fun. But for me, I didn't know how to just like drink normally. For me, it was always like, let's do some fucking shots. And it's like, it always turned into that, even though I'd be like, I'd always constantly write these lists and I'd be like, no shots, no cigarettes, no, all the stuff I'm not going to incriminate myself with. I probably can, but, and I would break every single thing on that list. And I actually came across my list over and over and I was like, fuck, I think I have a problem. So I wrote this song called All These Pages, which is on All Stories of the King. And I got sober the next day.
I know it's not easy, kind of maintaining sobriety. So, is there any advice that you would give somebody that wants to take the first steps into doing something like that?
Yeah, I mean, first you have to make sure you're an alcoholic. So, like, if you can have 2 drinks and leave it at that, like, you're not an alcoholic. Like, every single time I drank, I got completely fucked up and plastered, and it was like 7 in the morning and just really late. And it was a fun time, but kind of, so you have to, I feel like everyone has to make sure before you commit to sobriety that like you can't control it. So for me, like I would tell myself when I first got sober, I was taking sips of other people's drinks and I wasn't counting it because I wasn't getting drunk. And then from that point on, and then before I knew it, I was like chugging a bottle of vodka in the jacuzzi and like completely fucked up. And I was like, okay, well, that didn't work. When my sponsor, I went to AA, I got a sponsor, and my sponsor, I told her, I was like, oh, I got drunk last night. She's like, what happened? I was like, I took too many sips. She was like, what are you talking about? I was like, oh, I've been having sips of alcohol. I just haven't been counting it because I haven't gotten drunk. And she was like, okay, so you haven't been sober. I was like, no, I guess not. So I think that that's step one is accepting you're powerless over alcohol. And then there's like a whole other group of steps. So I did that. And I go to meetings still. I don't go as much as I used to. I used to go to one every day when I first got sober. And then also just meeting friends, the meetings were fun. One of my first meetings, I was like, there's cake and boys and coffee. I was like, I can do this.
Well, congratulations on going this far. And I wish you the best going forward with sobriety.
Thank you.
You had a performance at the Viper Room just a couple days ago. How did that go?
Oh, it was really fun. It was good. I I decided, because I went to a comedy show on Thursday, so I was like, I'm going to tell some jokes and make some people laugh. So that made it a lot more fun.
So besides, taking your older pop soulful material and kind of rocking it out and these two new rock singles, what else is kind of in your set? Are you doing covers or things like that?
Yeah, well, I did a cover of a Three Doors Down song, When I'm Gone. I actually posted Kryptonite, and the lead singer, when I did the cover of Kryptonite a few years ago, he actually liked it and shared it on. No, he commented, not shared it. Don't want to get too excited there.
Oh, it's always good when the artist you're covering kind of gives you a little nod there on social media.
Yeah, no, it felt really good. But yeah, so I always do one cover, and we do like a 30-minute set, around 8 songs. So 7 originals, one cover. But the last cover I did was my favorite one. I did 1985 by Bowling for Soup. It was pop, but it was so much fun. Like everyone was singing it in the crowd. I loved it.
Have you had I know the Viper Room is actually a pretty big venue for national acts. Have you had an opportunity to open up for some bigger national acts?
No, that's kind of what's on the next thing, is like reaching out to bands and trying to get myself like on a tour. Like that's kind of the next step.
I know that you release your music independently at this juncture. Are you shopping material to a label?
I was, but I kind of stopped because I feel like every single label just wants like a bunch of followers. So until I get like maybe 100K, I'm just like, there's no point. Like I was sending out my music for years, and I know my music is strong, but until you can kind of make that step in social media, I feel like they're not going to look at you.
That's an interesting point of view because I mean that's an interesting metric because I feel like it can't be quantified. Like you could have 100,000 fans, but I feel like how many are engaged?
Yeah, that's true. You have to have a lot of engagement. So I'm just trying to work on my social media right now. I mean, I do my music. I have my photographer there, so we get a lot of material for my stuff. But I actually was doing these funny reels like a while ago. I probably need to get back to those, but like some of them got shared. Like I got like 2 million views on one. I did a Wedding Crashers one, and I put like a funny comment on it. But I used to do those a lot, so I probably should get back to that to get some more engagement.
When it comes to live performances, are you mainly sticking in the LA area? Or are you going to be branching out at some point?
I did some shows in San Diego back in the day, and then I did a showcase in Vegas recently, which was a lot of fun for like some for some radio promoters, which was cool. I was very nervous though. Like I was like, sorry guys, I'm really fucking nervous. My water was like shaking. I was like, hopefully I can drink this water right now. But it was cool. But I mean, right now I'm just staying to LA just because it's easier, and it's hard. If you don't have like a bunch of fans, it's hard to get people to come to your shows. So, but the next step will probably be opening for a band that has an audience. So that will be, so I don't have, the burden is not on me to open the show.
Well, you've played some pretty big venues out there in LA. Besides the Viper Room, you've been at the Whiskey and the Troubadour and the Mint. Is there a particular gig or show that stands out in your mind as one of your favorites?
Yeah, I love the Viper Room because it's small, and it's like it just feels like the energy in the room is just like really high because it's always like filled and packed. So that's probably my favorite one. It's like it's a small venue, but it feels very cool, and I really enjoy it. So that's probably and that's where I started. That was my first show, was at the Viper Room. The
Yep.
next step would probably be like I would love to perform at the Roxy. Like that would be a huge next step. But it's a much bigger venue, so.
Have you ever had a totally disastrous gig, like a Spinal Tap moment?
Well, one time this guy actually started, it was so weird. He started playing, I forgot, what was the saxophone? Right, saxophone. So he started playing the saxophone. He started doing the dun, 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 dun,
Pink Panther?
Pink Panther. He started doing Pink Panther in the audience, and I was just like, okay. So then I thought that maybe my band had like tried to surprise me or something. And then finally I figured out like everyone was just like stunned, and I was just like, can someone, okay, cool. So I just kind of ignored him. They escorted him out. But it was funny because like I thought, I was like, oh, I guess my band did a surprise for me. Then I looked around and they're all like, I don't know who the fuck this guy is. But yeah, so he started literally just like performing. But he came back up to me backstage and started talking to me beforehand. And he was just like, yeah, I'm going to do a little something. And I was like, yeah, sure. Like, no, I was just like, it's busy backstage. So I'm just like, yeah, whatever. No idea. I'm telling him to like do a little song in between my songs. Yeah. So they escorted him out. It was funny. I was like, I was
I would
like, oh, this guy over here.
I would imagine so. I'd imagine it's probably like that scene from The Simpsons where Homer got on stage with U2 and they took him out back and they're like, he's going to get the help he needs, and they're beating the heck out of him.
I never saw that episode.
Look it up. Look, go on YouTube, put he's going to get the help he needs. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Okay, that's funny.
Uh, from what I understand, you used to be a competitive horseback rider. You won a bunch of awards for it as well.
Yeah, I did that from like age 6 till 26. For like 20 years, I competed on a national level, and we did like there was like it was took up a lot of time. Like I only went to school 3 days a week growing up as a kid, and I was like homeschooled the rest of the time. I went to school. I mean, I competed. We did each competition was 4 days a week, and I did about 24 competitions a year, and we had 2 month break in the end of the year. So I mean, you can do the math. It was a lot.
Do you still own horses?
No, I don't. I sold my horse a few years ago.
What's the next single that you're going to be releasing after the video comes out for the current one?
I'm probably going to release my EP, Misery in Heaven, which has the tracks Happy in Hell, Angel of God, and then my other song, Promise You This, or Other Side of the Sun. I haven't decided yet. But there's going to be 5 songs on the EP.
That's the best part of being an independent artist. You got no timelines. You can decide when you want, right?
Yeah, there's like a part of me that's like, it's nice to be able to make my own schedule and not, just be able to do what I want. Like, that's the nice part of not being signed. But
All right.
then, the other side is that you don't have millions of followers and blah, blah, blah. And 102.7 hasn't been hitting them on my door recently. So
Well,
maybe one day.
you keep grinding it out, you'll get the followers you're looking for.
Yeah, I just got to find that little. I feel like a lot of people find that like video and they do like a million different versions of the same video. And because they went viral with one, I feel like I need to find whatever that video is and just like capitalize on it. Be like, boom, here's 8 million versions of the same one and people are going to love it.
Well, those are all the questions I have for you tonight, Hannah. The new single is No Crown in This Dead Town. It's out now. Video's on the way, and I want to thank you for taking the time to speak with KNAC.com about it.
Oh, thank you so much. Have a good one.